Hey, let's just get straight to the point. You saw the thumbnail. We're going to be talking about a Tailia project that has been in the works during the entire month of June, and it's currently right now in an uncertain state. It's called Tailia Choose Your Own Path, which is something that I've been even more secretive than with Untitled Tailia. Because yes, Untitled Tailia and Tailia Choose Your Own Path are two totally different things. And you can tell because Untitled Tailia is definitely happening, and Tailia Choose Your Own Path, this video exists. So with this video I want to explain what's been done with the project so far, what it is about, how it plays like, because this is a Tailia Gamebook, and what happened behind the scenes that led to this video being made. So yeah, this is all just laying out in front of you everything about this project, almost everything, because I'm not sure if it's actually going to happen in the future or not, but I'm curious about what people might think about it. So that's why this video exists. So, shortly after Gamemaster Tailia Book 3 was done and published, I was working on Untitled Tailia, which is a very big project that I'm still not going to talk about that much for a little longer. And at some point in early June, I had the idea to do a fun Tailia project that's completely detached from the mainline series. Thus, I got the idea of Tailia Choose Your Own Path, which would be a game book where you play as Maxine herself, and you go on to choose between lots of paths, lots of different story points. You had fights, you had health points, key items, all that stuff. I'll go into details a little later. This book would not be completely canon to the main series. So the main series has Original Tailia, which is the quadrilogy, Gamemaster Tailia, and Untitled Tailia. This is the big thing of the Tailia franchise. It's these projects. Tailia Choose Your Own Path would have been inspired of Original Tailia and Gamemaster Tailia. It's an alternative universe where I pick elements from these two series and combine them into a much simpler story with much simpler understanding of the characters, so Maxine Glade and Audrey West. So because the main Tailia franchise has a lot of character development, a lot of changes done throughout all of the books, so this was also the opportunity to start or try to imagine an alternative Tailia universe where everything is simpler and much more accessible to new readers. The Choose Your Own Path book would have played out with a lot of different choices, you know. You go on the scene, you read that scene, and then at the end it asks you like a question. Let's say Audrey asks you if you want to play a game or if you want to get a drink. If you want to have a drink, you go on a different number because all of the scenes are labeled from 1 to like, I don't know, 100. So let's say drink is number 12, so you go on the page with the number 12, which the page is indicated, don't worry. So let's say number 12 is in page like, I don't know, 23, you go to page 23 and you continue from there on. But if you want to play a game instead, you go to number 41, which is in like page 63 or something. And it continues like that. It has all of different branching paths. And this was the big thing, you know, hence the Tailia Choose Your Own Path. At some points you had fight scenes or encounters with threats, and you had to encounter them in a fight. This is where things get interesting, and you really get the word game in game book, because you have health points. If I recall correctly, I don't have it right now, but in what I've watched so far, you start with 25 health points. You can get more health points, or you can get less. You can find items that gives you health points here and there throughout some of the paths. But basically an encounter is when you find a threat and it tells you that that threat has like 10 health points. The way the fights work is with 2 dices. So either dices that you already own or dices that are directly printed in the pages. You throw in the 2 dices, and let's say I get 2 and 5, so that makes 7. The problem is that the enemy has 10 health points. You need to do more than the enemy's health points. But I did 7, so instead I subtract 3 health points from me, because the difference between 7 and 10 is 3. So I lose health points. If you redo, then you continue, you throw in the dices again. If I get this time 12, there's a 2-point difference, and you did above the enemy's health points, So you subtract 2 points from the enemy's health points, and you keep going and going. Now, the enemies are not 10 health points, and I think I explained that a bit poorly at some points, but you get the idea. You know, this will happen with dices, with also a bit of luck, yes. And once you've won the battle, you move on to the next path that's indicated after the battle. If you lose, then you get like the game over ending, which is the worst ending. That chosen path also has lots of paths that are very serious, very on the point, and there are paths which are just a bunch of jokes, you know. So I can have fun writing some completely random paths that are not really relevant. But what about the story? Yeah, because that's the important part. That chosen path, you have one story that splits into multiple stories. That's basically the whole point. Well, I do have a description that I wrote that is at the beginning of the book, which I'm going to read to you right now. So here we go. You are Maxine Glade, formerly known as Tailia. Strong and independent, you want to reach a clean state for your life and stay away from danger with your girlfriend, Audrey West. But with the discovery of a strange virus circulating in every electronical devices of your hometown, you have to intervene and figure out the problem. A holographic journey awaits you. This was going to be very sci-fi, very extremely centered around devices and electronics and all that stuff. And the antagonist would have been like a virus girl, something like that. A sort of program. It would have been like a very fun, very quirky character that would be very playful with the protagonist, but also very dreadful in some of the paths. So this is the virus that I was pointing about. The original idea was to actually have 2 stories. So I have one following Maxine and Audrey, and the other following Casey. But I decided to just go with one story because it would have been way too big. Way too big. Here are some of the paths that I've been currently working on. So you can see some things like Ori's remote or Ori's phone, all that stuff. These are key items that you can find only in specific paths. And you can kind of see where it splits and how there's going to be lots and lots of different stories and endings, all that stuff. Probably like 20 or something. So you can see how this gets very complicated, this gets very ambitious. So what happened to the project? Why am I talking about it right now instead of actually working on it? There are a couple of reasons. The main one being, this is too ambitious for what it is. This was supposed to just be a small bonus book that I could do while working on Tailia Tailia. So I work on Tailia Tailia, which is fully planned out scene by scene, which is very useful to keep track of and to know what's going to happen next. And at the same time, I could also work on Choose Your Own Path when I needed a bit of a break, because it's very different from the usual Tailia novels, but it's still Tailia related, so you know, you can kind of see the connection. The problem is that with all of these paths and all of these mechanics and all, it gets really complicated and really hard to follow. And basically, if I want to work on a project like this, I need to work on it full time as like the top priority. Right now I've written 55 pages and I'm at the point where I have around 5 different paths in the works right now. But I know that if I continue and I add all the next scenes of all of these paths, then these 5 paths are going to turn into 7 and maybe 8 and then 10 and then all that stuff. It's very ambitious when you think about it, when in reality it's supposed to just be a fun bonus. The main intention is not even to have it being canon to the original Tailia franchise and all, but it can still have hints, you know, here and there. And it's also fun to have elements from the original Tailia series and from Gamemaster Tailia thrown in there into a sort of neutral Tailia universe. One that you don't have to read all of the books about it and instead just jump into and enjoy. So yeah, this is one of the big reasons. It was too overambitious. And my priority right now is Fight for Its Book 4, obviously, but also Tailia Tailia, which is huge and much more important. I also wasn't sure if making a Choose Your Own Path book out of the Tailia franchise was a good idea. Like, I like the sound of it, and I like some of the story points I had with this, again, virus and characters and all. It would have been really fun to write these dialogues and these little scenes where you have the virus just glitching all over the room and kind of having fun with the protagonists, toying with them. This was one of the visions I had, which I think would have made for a very, very interesting experience. But I still think making a Choose Your Own Path book for me, it's not really the best of things. I'm very uncertain, and now that I wrote over 50 pages, I'm looking back at it and I'm just not sure if it's actually going to be worth it in the end. Because the Tailia novels, when I finish writing them and I publish them, even if they don't get attention, I'm still extremely happy about them. I'm happy that I managed to write a full story, that it's out there, that people can read, and that it's very coherent with all the results and all. With a book like this, it's a bit different. I don't think it's going to be worth it to spend basically over 8 months working on a project like this and then publishing it. If it gets no attention, yeah, I'm gonna be a bit frustrated, but also just being like, well, that was 8 months well spent. To me, that's not the case. So yeah, this is one of the big reasons. It's just, I'm not sure if how ambitious this project is, if it's actually going to be worth it in the end, if making this type related, you know, a sort of neutral Tailia universe was that good of an idea. And here's the thing, the whole purpose of this video is to show you this project. I hope I made it clear, and I hope you understand my point of view right now. I don't know if this project is worth it, if it's worth my time, if it's worth your time. So this video is basically asking you, if you're interested, are you interested in this project? Are you interested in learning more? And this is the main thing I want to mention. Do you like the ideas that I said about the story, so like the virus and stuff? And would you like to see those in a completely different project? Because here at Circus Productions, where I'm the only person working on Circus Productions, we love recycling. A lot of stuff from scrapped or cancelled projects gets recycled for future projects. It almost always happens. And it can happen with Tailia's own path. So yeah, just showing you all the possibilities that can happen in the future. I hope you enjoy watching this video. Next week is the Fight for Rights Book 4 full reveal video, I promise. And now I'm going to go back on writing Fight for Rights Book 4 and the first Untitled Tailia book. See you next time.